Hello and welcome back to our series on the Sexual Integrity Project and how to make the most of your group and how to get involved and engaged. Today, or in this video, we're going to be talking about how to use the Freedom Guide and how to make the most of that. And key to this process is your own work and doing that for yourself. So the first thing, if you haven't downloaded the guide yet, we encourage you to go do that and take a look at it, because it's really going to be instrumental in your group experience. And here's the link where you can go and find that. Well, the first thing you'll notice when you open up the guide is there's a section called How to Use This Book, and it takes you through the steps that you might want to walk through, and it's very clear. It's very short and concisely written so that you know exactly what you need to do. And it really emphasizes working at your pace and not moving on until you've really engaged with each section. And as you can see here, the guide is divided into chapters, and it has 23 overall, and kind of divided into 5 parts. And that's really breaking up kind of this journey that we're on, and each step is a really important one. So I'd encourage you to take them all in process and in order, but certainly don't be afraid to jump to ones that you need. So it might be really important to jump to chapter 8, for example, talking about accountability, if you're early on in the process of recovery and that's something that you really need. So don't be afraid to jump around, find all the worksheets, the exercises. There's so much rich material in here, so do explore it, but it is designed so that you can follow it in order too. Now, just a couple of notes. As you're going through the guide, you'll see elements that say exercise, and they'll be bold and italicized, just like this first example here. And that is signaling to you, slow down, think about what's going on, and spend some time on this exercise. Get out your journal and pause here. Really do some self-reflective work. And this is certainly not just a book to read and just keep plowing through. It's certainly going to ask you to read, but then you need to slow down and do the work for yourself. The second example you've got on this page is taken from the section on rituals and ritual behaviors. And this is just one example that I pulled out of one of the exercises you will do that uses a worksheet form. So it has blank sections after this example where it gets you to think about your rituals, think about alternatives. And so there's lots of really meaty exercises just like this for you to dig into. Nothing can substitute for your own work and engagement. Your recovery is your recovery. Your sexual integrity is yours. You will do it in community, and people are so critical to that, to support you, to encourage you, but you kind of have to put time and energy into it. And nothing really substitutes for that. I've already mentioned this, but reading is part 1. Thinking and reflecting really is key. And then making active changes. And this can be a hard place for us. And so I encourage you to take this to your group. When implementing is difficult, when making change and taking steps becomes challenging because of practical reasons or because of the way it feels and how it interacts with us, bring that to your group. That is exactly what the group is for, to process those challenges with you. But how are we going to share work generally in group? That is something we really care about doing. So one person at a time. Most meetings only 1 or 2, and I've mentioned this in earlier videos, only 1 or 2 will have a time to share. But what do we want to share? We really want to dig into whatever chapter you're working on, whatever exercise you're in, really digging into what's challenging about it, where you are with it, how it's hard, why you're frustrated with it, what you're learning about. Whichever way you need to go, that is most important. What were you just working on? Is kind of the question. Where are you at right now? And sometimes that might feel embarrassing, but I really want to encourage you. Others understand this process and understand what you're going through. These groups are men in similar situations. These guys are with you for a reason. They've committed to you to support you, and they will understand. Shame will often hold us back and want us to kind of keep silent, and that really hinders our progress. So I want to encourage you to really lovingly challenge yourself to share in your group, specifically when you're stuck and where you feel convicted, and ask for help in your group if you're not sure what to do. Let them support you. and I said it, but I'll re-emphasize it. You won't be seen as odd or weird. Trust me on this. I've led hundreds of men in sexual integrity groups at this point, and that fear comes up often, and it gets responded to very well over and over as you find out I'm not strange. People actually are accepting me, and it's very healing and very helpful. Others need to hear you as well. It's kind of important to remember that your experience might really help someone else. They may realize they're not alone, that actually your struggle is something that they understand deeply and personally as well. And the way you've wrestled with something and thought through it might help them to do the same. So it's really important that we relate in these things. Now, sometimes group members don't know how to respond to others that are sharing, right? So someone else might be sharing, and it's kind of like, wow, I really feel for this guy. I'm with him. I understand what he's sharing, but we don't really know what to say. And that's hard because then the person that's sharing can often have questions like, oh, what do these people think of me right now? So I really want to encourage you to use encouragement yourselves, to use affirmations and to thank people. And that's not particularly difficult, but as someone shares and they've talked about their experience, remember to encourage them. Say, I hear that you're working hard on this. Thank you for sharing this with us. I just want to affirm that you've been working really hard. Whatever it is, you can say more than that for sure, but really acknowledging the work people are doing and engaging them and sharing honestly about how it impacts you. So if someone was sharing about a struggle they had and figured out, you might say, wow, I really want to encourage you. It sounds like you're doing great. And I'm noticing for me, it's really tough because I feel like I haven't got a handle on this at all. Could we talk about that some more? And then the group can process that. So it's a really rich time to engage one another in that way. And your leader will hopefully help you to do that. And then processing together. So we've talked about the Freedom Guide, but that might lead into this processing time that we've talked about before, where we're talking about life's current struggles, strains, experiencing. That's what we mean by processing. So if the Freedom Guide really pulls up topics in your lives that you want to process together, to talk through and think about, absolutely do that. That's a great use of your time. And when you're doing that, you want to validate each other and join in. So we're not trying to solve everyone's problems immediately, because that never really works. It's undermining, in fact. What we want to do is listen to people and support them. If they ask for advice, we can certainly help them with it. But we want to have that kind of atmosphere where folks have to ask for advice, or they're encouraged to, and then we know to step in. But before that, we're going to understand their experience, tell them we appreciate where they are, and that we want to support them. And then finally, we miss this a lot, but acknowledge the good. So in your brother's lives, tell them the good things that you see and hear about them. So you might notice that their attitude or their candor or their approach to something is really admirable, that you admire it, that you respect them. Share that with them. It's very meaningful that we get told about the good things in our world rather than just think about where we're struggling all the time or where we might be deficient. The Lord celebrates us, and I want to encourage you to celebrate one another in this way. It's incredibly helpful. So I want to thank you for watching this video that gets a little bit further into how you use the Freedom Guide and what processing really means together. Next time we're going to talk about how to build accountability relationships, and I hope you'll come back for that, because that again is a critical piece of how this group could serve you. So thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you again.